I think sometimes we overestimate what people know, right? And so today it kind of opened my eyes, and a lot of people don't know the basics. They're in business, but they might not have registered with Sunbiz, right? They might not have a separate bank account. They might not have a different name, and they might be opening themselves up to a lot of liabilities, right? Um, or they're not keeping track of their expenses and income. So what are they going to do when taxes come around? So those are things I think that maybe we should bring some light and discuss with people, just to make sure that all of their basics are done properly first before continuing to move with their business.
Isn't there also a new law? I don't know if this applies countrywide, but I know in the state of Florida, supposedly existing businesses are grandfathered into it. I think we have until the end of the year to report. Can't remember the name, but I know I have to do it. But if you're a new business, you only have like 30 days or 90 days or something to file for this thing or report it. What's the name of that?
So you have to report the beneficial owners and all of the owners in your business.
Okay.
Okay. And it's funny that it's a new law, because that's what I've always done, is report, because that's how you get your K1s. That's how the IRS knows who might have an interest, who needs to file taxes, who needs, right? So those are things, again, going back to, we sometimes forget that people don't know these things just because we do them on a regular basis, right? And so like the first thing is, make sure you have a separate entity, a separate business. Like, yes, a sole proprietor is okay. And yes, you can do business as your own self, and you can use your social security number, and it doesn't have to be separate. But is that really what you want to do? Because now you're giving your social security number out to people, which is very scary because of identity theft. Opening yourself up to complete liability, because you and your business are one and the same. So everything you own is up for grabs, right? So the first thing is, go on sunbiz.org and register a corporation. Right? It's $128 or something like that a year. It's really nothing if you're opening up a business. Get your EIN number from the IRS website and open up a separate bank account. Right? Make sure that you treat your business as a separate person. Right? You and your business are not the same. Don't let your business pay for your bills or pay for any of your personal items. You can take the money out of your business and pay for your own things, right? Because it is your business. You're allowed to do whatever you want with that money. But legally speaking, to keep yourself out of liability, you should pay yourself, and then you use the money for personal things. Right. So those are just a couple of basic things that are going to keep you out of trouble. And it'll be so much easier to start from the beginning than start it later. And it also helps you keep track of your books much more easily. Because if you have a separate bank account, right, you can loan your business money to get it started and pay yourself back for that loan. So it's not taxed as income or wages, because it's a loan repayment. But everything is separate, and it'll be much easier to have a bookkeeper or a CPA go in and see how your business is doing, what expenses are only for your business, what income is coming in from your business. Is it profitable? Are you doing well? Are you not? Right? All of those things. But it behooves us to all start it out properly. So a little planning goes a long way.
Yeah.
And can you repeat that website again, please?
The sunbiz.org.
But that's for Florida only, right?
Yes.
Okay.
But every state has a website that you can go to register a business. And you can just put, how do I register my business in, the state of New York? How do I register my business in Delaware? Whatever. And it'll come up. It usually tells you how to do it. It's usually very simple and easy. And there are a lot of attorney services that will do it for very little money for you. They will also act as your registered agent. They will do your articles of incorporation and everything for a couple $100. So it's really not a deterrent to starting your own business.
Thank you.
So anything else? I mean, we all have our own businesses. Does anybody else have any advice as to when you're starting out, make sure you have this and this in place?
Well, I could just give y'all my greatest takeaway. When you're starting out, make sure you have a core business team. And it doesn't have to, like for me, I felt like I always needed like staff, but I realized the support team, because when we start everything for the first time, we're pretty excited, right? But in order to be successful, you have to be prepared and have that support system for when times get hard, things go bad, don't work out as expected, disappointment, lack of support from people you thought supported you. Maybe clients fire you or people just hate your business. Are you going to pivot? So I feel like trying to get into like a mastermind or a really solid networking group where they offer some sort of camaraderie, especially if you're solo in the business. I mean, you're not going to be telling your staff necessarily all the intricacies of problems you have running the business. So for me, my takeaway, if I could start all over again, probably even before I started the business, I would have already had those people lined up versus when I started experiencing the challenges in the business. Now I need to go look for, okay, who do I know who I could tell this problem to that's really going to give me constructive feedback, but not just tell me what I want to hear, right? So I don't know. How do you guys feel about groups like BNI or NPI, Networking Professionals Internationals, or Business Networking? I think there's Business Networking International, aside from them being very expensive.
Well, let me share with you my experience. I have done BNI.
Mhm.
They're great for local, but now that we've had the pandemic and we're all into this new world of being able to access people from around the globe, it's good to get to know other organizations and be able to network. Um, when we speak about having business locally, the team that you want to consider is having a good tax preparer, a good accountant, and a great attorney as well as again, the third thing that you're supposed to have as resources. In the state of Rhode Island, where I live, we have different resource groups, SBDC, SBA, a whole host of others that I can't come to name right now, but we have a good business climate here in the state of Rhode Island. Even getting a hold of the business newspaper, we have the Providence Business Newspaper. I know they'll call something else in other cities, but having a good business newspaper to see what's going on in the business community, get what's the networking groups that are out there that they can offer you, getting into different organizations like the Goldman Sachs, 100 something businesses, just being able to network enough to know what's going on in your local community, but also being open to receiving from other groups that are on a national scale things. I will always recommend Women's Prosperity Network. I know you're part of that globe. That's how I found you, through Women's Prosperity Network. They're great. They're a great think tank for women. And, they do not exclude men, so men are welcome as long as they have sensitivity to women. But being able to network in a way where you can receive, like you said, Glo, strategic information that will help you grow your business.
Mhm.
And both of you are talking about planning, right? At the end of the day, it's all about planning. You have to plan.
And execution as well.
Well, yes, execution, but most people execute and open up a business without planning for it.
Okay.
Right. So that's
okay.
Yeah, plan. That's why I'm like, when I start working with clients, I always make sure that we have a quote unquote business plan for the year, right? What's the goal? How are we going to reach it? What are the marketing avenues? What do we think we're going to get from those marketing avenues? What team members do we need to have in order to achieve what we want to achieve, right? Is all of this doable? And if so, great. Let's move forward and continue with the business. And if not, well, we need to either pivot or find something else or figure out a different goal, right? And so I find that a lot of people go into business without having any of these things in place. They just go, oh, you know what? I'm a really good, I don't know, cook. So I'm going to open up a restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Right. Like, okay. So they invest all this money in a restaurant.
And they buy all the equipment.
And they don't have the logistics. They don't have the team. They don't know how much money they're going to make. They don't have profitability analysis. They don't even look at the market where they are to see what kind of food is going to sell the most or what people are interested in. Right. Let alone open up a proper business and a different bank account. And so, you know, it's that basics before you even start. And even if you've already started, it's still a good idea to make an analysis and a business plan and figure out, okay, this has been, you know, the track record so far. Can I continue with this? What changes can I make? What changes do I have to make? Right? Do I have to pivot? Do I have to add services, or do I just make the services, my core services, better or more appealing? Or do I need a different target audience? Or do I need, you know, different people in my business, someone to answer the phones, or right? Like all of these things you have to plan for before you actually need it, so that you know what goal you're working towards. Right. And that's what you and Glow have been talking about. To go into a BNI or a networking group like that, it's expensive and it's a lot of time commitment. So you plan for those things, right? And yes, Glow, to answer your question, I think those networking groups are phenomenal if you use them properly. If you track how much time are you spending, how much money are you spending, and how much income are you actually generating from them, then you can see whether or not they're working for you and your specific business. But just like everything, you get out what you put in.
Yeah.
Right.
So what do you guys think about this? Someone told me a lot of businesses get screwed over by marketing professionals, right? And as a marketing professional, this is what they proposed, that maybe I switch the way I receive payments to asking the business owner for a percentage of the business to prove that I can market the business. So let me translate that for y'all. Elizabeth wrote a book. So Elizabeth, as a marketing professional, I said, hey, Elizabeth, okay, I'm going to take 10% of book sales. I'm going to market the book. And instead of charging you upfront for all this marketing effort, 10% of your book sales is going to be mine. Would you agree to that?
Wow. That's a good question. I would say it depends. I'd have to look at the market. I don't have a problem. I don't know if 10% is the going rate, right? But if it is, and if it's competitive, yes, I think that's a great deal.
For the lifetime of this book, for every copy you sold. So instead of saying, okay,
not the lifetime, no. I would say we'd have a time frame. That would be my thinking. Just off, we'd agree a time, maybe for a year or whatever that amount would be. We'd agree a time. I do not know. I'm just answering your question, but this is a very good question. Thank you.
Okay, Tanya, you look like you got an idea.
So a lot of marketing companies are moving towards that model, I will say, because I have been talking to a lot of people and I see that model coming more into the forefront, which actually makes a lot more sense to me as a business owner who's not a marketing person, right? Because for small businesses, you should spend between 8 to 10% of your income on marketing efforts. Now, the issue becomes, if those marketing efforts are contributing to sales, then the percentage of those sales need to be paid to those marketing efforts, right? However, there's a lot of different marketing avenues, and most people don't only use one marketing professional to do everything. They do some marketing. They have their staff do some marketing. The marketing professionals do some marketing, right? So the logistics of it need to be tracked very well to be able to make it work properly. But also, it's from a marketer's point of view, what are the sales conversions, right? So as a marketer, if I were a marketer, I would not partner with someone who I didn't know well, right, to take a percentage of their sales, Because
Mhm.
first, how do I verify, which is the easiest part, but how do I know that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing to convert the sales, right? So that my marketing efforts don't go to waste. So it's definitely a very good model, but it has to be based on mutual trust and mutual work, right? The deliverables on both sides have to be very clear, and the work has to be done by both sides for it to work properly.